What's happening, everybody? This is Adi from Thrylos International, and we are back again. Another Marinakis Football Group Roundtable, and we are joined by our usuals today. We've got Matt Davies from Forest Focus, and we have Joao Meneses from Reis Do Ave. Guys, welcome back. It has been a little bit longer. We missed, technically, we've been doing these about once a month. We missed a month because my schedule was terrible. But now we're back. A lot of stuff has changed. There's a mixed bag of emotions here. I feel like every fan group right now is in a different state. And we'll get into that shortly. But first and foremost, boys, how are we doing? Matt, get us started. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. We had a mixed soul week for Forest. They got knocked out of the Europa League, which we can talk about, I'm sure, but they secure Premier League safety. So sort of the main goal's been completed and already looking forward to next season. But good, thank you. Good to be back on.
Joao, how are you doing today?
Hi. I'm more happy than the last show because it was, I think, two months ago. Now we have sure that next season we are now playing again in the first league, and for now this is the most the main objective of the fans and supporters of Reis Do Ave is to play in the first league. I remember that 10 years ago we played 4 times in the UEFA competition, UEFA league. So in 10 years we downgrade our ambitions. Now we are very happy when we can play again in the first league. So I'm not exaggerating, but it's good. It's good.
You're in a state of contentment, we'll say.
Yes,
right?
yes. In the mood of
relieved because you're safe, and then now you're
I'm trying to conform my mood.
I trust me. In a way, I understand, but my emotions are a little bit more negative. We'll get into that in just a moment. Before we do, for everybody that's tuning in, don't forget to check out all of the channels that are involved in the Marinakis Football Group discussion. As I mentioned, you have Matt Davies from Forest Focus. You have Joao here from his Facebook page is Reis Do Ave with him and his contributors. All of the links for everybody's channels are in the description here. We are Thrylos International. Our link is there as well. Check out everybody's content. You will not find better fan coverage of each club than from the channels that are here. It's honest, it's open, and we say exactly how we feel. So check out every single one of these pages so that you can keep up with everything that's going on within the football group of our joint president, Evangelos Marinakis. Now, let's get into the team update section where we talk about just a quick pulse check, where things have gone since the last time that we spoke. I'll begin with Olympiacos. You might have seen it already on socials. You might have seen the despair across socials caving into the Forest and Reis Do Ave socials as well. Olympiacos officially lost the title yesterday, dropping points again to PAOK, a team that we have been unable to beat at all this season. We only have 2 derby wins on the season, the worst derby record in XG underperformance of 13 goals, the worst in the Marinakis football. Well, I should say, since Marinakis has taken over Olympiacos, this is the worst offensive performance that we've seen in terms of squandering our opportunities. The most shots, highest XG, the most big scoring chances created, and yet we cannot finish our opportunities. Plenty of blame to go around. Nobody's really happy, but it's over. We don't hold on to this hope and stress every week. Now we're looking towards next season. And there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked. And quite frankly, from what we're hearing on our side of things and with our sources, a lot of changes that are going to be made. I don't know if the coach is changing, our Conference League winning coach, Jose Luis Mendilibar, but there are for sure going to be some changes as cycles for sure have ended. So I probably have the most negative emotions today of everybody else here. Joao, what's been going on at Reis Do Ave?
I remember that we lost six games, and it was almost the end of the world. And surprisingly, um, after these six defeats, we have 10 points, three victories and a draw. These 10 points, nobody has a clear explanation how we get 10 points, but they save us the season. It was a very, very atypical season, very strange season. But I'm hesitating because all over the year, I think this is strange for our listeners, strange for our listeners, to you, to Matt, but all over the year, the only person who talk with us, with the fans, it was Sotiris Selaidopoulos. It was the man who at the he don't hesitate to speak. He speak every week, before the games, after the game. But it was the only voice you heard all over the season. Nobody from the club or the enterprise here we call SAD, SAD, Sociedade Anónima Desportiva. Nobody from the group, nobody from the investor talked to us and said, for example, what are our sportive objectives. We went to be in the Europe, to stay in the first half of the table. We don't know nothing. So Sotiris was the only voice, but we don't really can talk about how our objectives are achieved or not, because we don't know what are the objectives. Nobody tells us. It was the silence all over the year. For us, supporters, this is the third season with this new configuration, with the new president, the club president. But it was frustrating because I have said at least once here in our roundtable, Rio Ave is the fifth squad with a more expensive squad, with more money invested in players, and now you are not trying to be relegated. Okay, it's closed, that issue, but we'll stay at 12th place, 13th place. Is very is disappointing on this side of the coin.
Matt, how about you? What are some updates from Forest? I know you're probably the happiest among us, I'm sure.
Probably, yeah, I think so. I mean, we've only lost one game in 12, so we've transformed our Premier League season. We've won 4 in a row, secure Premier League safety with 2 games to spare. When it looked like it would go down to the last day, certainly, and it looked like we might go down. So everything's gone really well on that front. Vitor Pro has done a great job. The one game we've lost was, unfortunately, we lost 4-0 to Villa, which a lot of Olympiacos fans might have seen in the Europa League semi-final. We couldn't do what Olympiacos did at Villa Park. We got absolutely trounced, but it was a bit unlucky, really. A lot of our best players were injured, 4 of our starting 11, including Morgan Gibbs-White and Murillo. So, yeah, bad luck on that front, but to stay in the Premier League, and we scored tons of goals out of nowhere. We had the same problem Olympiacos did. I think we might have spoken about it, Ari, that we had like 90 or 100 shots without scoring a goal, and then suddenly we massively overperformed all our XG. But yeah, our players are really exhausted. They look really tired against Newcastle, but dug in and got a point. And then Arsenal and VAR did us a favour at the weekend in the Premier League to see us safe. I do think that was a foul. I guess a lot of fans would have seen that one. So yeah, good for us, and looking forward to next season now.
So as you approach the end of the season, everybody kind of already has given a little bit of the emotion with respect to the team update. But how how do you believe the fan bases right now collectively feel as we approach the end of the season? I know on the Olympiacos side of things, it's one what any way you slice it, it's despair. People are upset. They feel like the squad has gotten worse almost every year since the Conference League season. I have some disagreements about that personally, but the sentiment in general is that things are not looking great. A lot of changes will need to be made. There's also, we got a lot of messages in addition to what's been going on social media. There's this massive sense of abandonment by the owner. The team is fighting for the title. The team is struggling game to game. And then for the last couple matches in a row, the home matches, I should say, the owner has not been in the owner's box. And that's all you saw after the game yesterday. Pictures people took of an empty owner's box because Marinakis wasn't there in a time of struggle. There's a lot that believe during times of struggle, especially in the stadium, the Marinakis, because he's always been there, should be there so that people can see him and that it's a sign. It's a sign for the team and it's something to push the team forward. He wasn't there, and that has upset a lot of people. So very negative feelings coming from all Olympiacos fans. And I'm not talking about trolls. I'm not talking about other individuals that may have certain agendas against the club. Regular fans. They're unhappy. And they also, a lot of them don't like a lot of the blame being put on the coach. Although myself, I do put a lot of blame on this coach. So I am not feeling so great personally. It was a disappointing season in many respects, even though we made UCL knockout football, which was a positive and I thought was a plus for us. The rest in Greece was just not good enough. Matt, what about for you? What about for Forest fans? What are the feelings approaching the end of the season after a whirlwind of a season that you guys had?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Like if you take it in the round the whole season, it's been too crazy with the four managers thing, and those were decisions by the club and Marinakis, I guess, around hiring some of these guys that backfired. I think the good thing is they recognise mistakes pretty early, and Vitor's come in. You guys both said he'd do a really good job, and he has. So the sentiment amongst Forest fans is pretty upbeat, I think. If you go back to the start of the season when we did our previews, we all said if we can get to the semi-finals of the Europa League and finish 14th or something, that's a good solid season. And at the moment we're 15th, and we could finish higher, we could finish a little lower, but yeah, we've sort of achieved our objectives in the most crazy way possible. So our fans are quite happy. It's interesting, a few fans online as well are noticing that Marinakis hasn't been at our games, and he's been a lot. In fact, normally if he was at our games, it was a sign the manager was going to get fired this season. But and then he'd leave halfway through, and he knew they were toast then. But he's not been for a while, so I don't know if that's. You might know more than me, Ari, that whether it's to do with his business interests around shipping. I think his mother died and stuff like that. So I really have no insight into why he's not there. A couple months ago, yeah. So I don't know what's going on, but there's no sense amongst our fans of a lack of commitment to anything from Marinakis. Maybe that's more of why Olympiacos fans are annoyed that it feels like he's more in on us. But from our point of view, Forest fans are pretty content. I think there will be a big old debrief around this season with Edu and the managerial changes, and there's going to be changes with our squad transfers wise, which we might talk about. But as we sit here right now, I think Forest fans would be like, this is kind of speculating, 7 or 8 out of 10 happiness after a real up and down season to be where we are.
I think that's fair, to be honest. I understand that wholeheartedly. So it's in a season like this, because I remember how we felt when we won the Conference League. You kind of felt like you witnessed 2-3 seasons in one. Like it was so long.
That's what one of the lads said the other night. It feels like what Sam said. It feels like Nuno was 3 seasons ago. Nuno going. It's been so much packed in, but it's where you are at the end, not the start, I guess. And at the end, we're okay.
There you go. That's a good point. Joao, how about the Real Ave fans? What are the feelings and the sentiments as you approach the end of the season? You gave us a little bit, I should say, of a trailer of your emotions so far,
Mhm.
but can you elaborate on what the fans feel and moving forward?
I think two words can resume the season and our feelings. For in one side, relief, because until some weeks we are thinking about the nightmare of a relegation. It was in our minds. It's not possible to hide this. So now we feel relieved because the relegation is a, s- a scenario that will not happen. But at the same time, with relief, we have disappointment because this team uh, didn't play well. The players all above his possibilities and skills and capacities. And Riwavis was it is because is missing two match days. The one is tonight, this Monday, the penultimate, because I think everyone feels that the team can play better. We have good players. We have very expensive players. They can and must play better. And I will anticipate for our viewers and for our all the people is listening to us. Marius Vrosai, it was the best player of the season as a defender, because when he plays at Olympiacos, it was a for a winger. No, it was a
He did both.
most
Before he left, he was playing right back.
okay. No, but Ravi plays as defender, right defender. It was the best man in it was the best man, the best player of the season. I'm a very huge fan of Vrosai, but Vrosai is not a magnificent player. So something have happened to allow that Vrosai was the best man in the squad, because there is this, as I said, disappointing. We are disappointed with so much players that are below his possibilities.
So there is one commonality, at least between all of our feelings, and it's a sense of relief. For you guys, it's relief that neither Forest nor Rio Ave have been relegated. And for me, it's a relief that I don't have to be stressed every week about holding on to a false hope that we can win this title. Now it's all eyes are looking forward. So we all have that in common, it seems. Now, I want to shift gears real quick because there's been news over the course of the last month and a half about a potential new addition to the Marinakis Football Group. Maribor was the team that was being reported as potentially a consideration for a buyout by our collective owner, Evangelos Marinakis. Now, last week, the owner of Maribor, Turkish owner, I can't pronounce his name, he came out and said, no, we never did. Even though he and Marinakis are acquainted, they spent time in London together recently. They never spoke about Maribor. It didn't come up in their conversations. So while that story itself may not necessarily be correct or true, there's been reports of Marinakis looking for a fourth club. Previously, there were reports that he was looking in Italy. Monza was the
Previously
team,
in Brazil, as
and
you
Brazil
remember,
as well. That's correct.
Brazil.
Brazil, Sao Paulo. I know Sao Paulo Academy with Edu, that was a focus. I don't know if anything ever materialized. And our sources have told us that there's an Italian club in the second division that he has had his eye on. So where there's smoke, there's fire. And while Maribor may not be the club he's looking to buy, it seems like he may be looking to purchase a fourth club. So I wanted to quickly touch on this and kind of get the feeling around the group, what this could look like, and if it's a good idea as things stand for a new club to enter we'll say the Marinakis Football Group infrastructure. Let's start off with you, Joao. Tell us, what do you think? Is this the time to be adding another team to the group?
Surely not. I think it will be bad for the club, unless the club is in bankruptcy, and again Marinakis appears like an angel and will save the club is near death. But looking for the position, the strategic view of a multi-group, we don't have that. As we have seen, as you have saw in the last roundtables, there is no strategy, there is no plan, there is no long-time view. So why to have a new club, a new victim of this nightmare that is the organization of the group? I think it will be okay. The group can grow up. Personally, I'm against the idea of a multi-club. I hope, I dream with the day that UEFA will decide, or FIFA or UEFA will decide that each club must have only one owner, and one owner, one person can have only one club. But it's a personal view of the football. I think 2 clubs are too much. 3 are a nightmare. 4 is a disaster, because only bad things can happen. Maribor or other club don't add anything to the project, and will aggravate the confusion that there is in the group of the multi-group of Lina Soloco or everywhere else. So I don't see with good eyes. I see could be a disaster.
I think what you said there, what does it add to the group, I think would be, for me, the most important question. Because during this process, right,
I answer it to you, nothing.
Yes. I agree with you, because that for me is the biggest question. You know, when Reis Do Ave joined, right? When Reis Do Ave joined, I could see the pipeline, right? If there was a pipeline, it's, look, Olympiacos is in Champions League consistently in Europe. Forest is in the Premier League, which is the best league in the world. So you see a pipeline here, Reis Do Ave in Portugal, and then even looking for a Brazilian club. Look, the pipeline, Brazilian talent, Portugal, and then they go to Olympiacos or Forest, or from Olympiacos to Forest as things progress. For me, the prospect of a fourth club, forget whether it's Maribor or not, even if it's a club.
Yes, of course.
For me, I need to see a real synergy with these 3 clubs, Reis Do Ave, Forest, and Olympiacos, before I could ever believe a fourth club would ever make it. Otherwise, it's going to be just more chaos. Because this year, look, Reis Do Ave is stable. You guys are staying up, not getting relegated. Forest right now staying up, not getting relegated. Olympiacos is losing the title, or has lost the title. May not even have the potential of Champions League football. It's been all over the place. It hasn't been exactly a stable season for any one of these clubs. Under these conditions, if I'm Marinakis, it's unacceptable to add something else when the broader ship, the bigger mothership is not in the right course. If I were to see things were headed in better directions for each club and I can see positive movement here and there, then I would feel a little bit more comfortable. But right now, we have more data on the movement of different pieces from Forest to Olympiacos or Rio Ave and here, and the pieces we're seeing moving around are not having success. Clayton and Andre Luiz came to Olympiacos. Clayton has had more time than Andre Luiz, but has done absolutely nothing. Andre Luiz can't see the pitch. For what reason? Almost every player that's come from Olympiacos to Forest, outside of maybe locker room legend Cafu, has done nothing for Forest. And then likewise on the return end, almost everybody that's come from Forest to Olympiacos has not amounted to much. I think the best we ever got from Forest was Julian Biancon. Julian Biancon at right now is our third choice center back, and he's a player that we've held on to and has taken minutes away from a young homegrown talent, Galou that we're going to lose for free this summer. And he's going to go to Italy because he's unhappy with his playing time situation. So if that is the best from the movement of players within the group, then that's not a good sign. And I think the synergies of the group need to be reassessed before we could ever consider the addition of a fourth club. Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't see a need to add any clubs in Europe personally, because you covered off the big five leagues with Forest. You've got Olympiacos for the reasons you stated and Rio Ave. So if you buy a European club, then as a Forest fan, I'd worry we'd end up buying a club in Italy or France or the Bundesliga that hoovers resources away from us. So I wouldn't like that. I suppose you could look at commercial opportunities in the States, and like you could buy an MLS club or you could buy an A-League club in Australia, which is a different kind of kettle of fish. That's more of the money side of it. And again, I kind of wonder about how much money that hoovers from us and Olympiacos and Rio Ave anyway. But I could sort of see why they might do that. But it feels literally the other side of the world. And I don't know if it's in the expertise of the Marinakis Group to get into the MLS or anything like that. The Brazil thing did make sense, I think, in like getting into a Brazilian club, Brazilian academy. We've seen loads of players come over, like Murillo. Jair Cunha has done well for us recently, Igor Jesus. So that's a market I could see them tapping. But I don't see the need to add any more clubs right now, because it feels like unless you're really precise in what you do, it's more of a hoover of resources, and it would just dilute what they have in terms of, you've already got a Premier League club, you've already got a Champions League club, you've got a club in Portugal who can hopefully thrive and provide opportunities for minutes for other players so thrive in their own right. So if you add, I think you're just diluting would be my worry. So it doesn't feel like the right time unless it's a very, very precise deal. And Maribor, with all due respect to them, I don't know anything about them particularly, but it doesn't sound like the profile of club that I would want us to be looking at.
So I think we're all in agreement that we all agree, in general, adding a fourth club to this is a bad idea right now. Is that safe to say?
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if let's say we had to add a club to the group, so you don't have a choice, yes or no, it's you have to add a club. What country are you picking the club from? Matt, I think you gave us your answer in your discussion already, but if you had to add a club, what country would it come from?
It would be a market where you can get top talent before other clubs, like other better resource clubs like a PSG or a Man City or any of the big Premier League clubs over here, Bluco or Chelsea, swoop in. Brighton are really good in like Ecuador and Central America. So it would be, for me, a club in that area to exploit transfer opportunities as much as anything. So South America, Brazil, that kind of thing.
So Brazil. So if you had to pick a country, Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in agreement. For me, if it had to be done, I would pick a club in Brazil. Joao, if you had to pick one, you don't have the choice to say no club.
Yes.
What country would you pick a
Yeah.
club for?
I think
club?
I think Brazil is a Brazil, Argentina are the logical choices, and I think nobody has bad arguments against that. But I think Africa could be also a possibility, a choice, because there is a very good talent in Africa, very not so expensive as Brazil. Brazil is already expensive. Player in the top 10 of the clubs in Brazil is almost 10 million, 12 million, 15 million, Brazil. So there is a lot of talent, but there is also a lot of people looking for talent in Brazil. Africa is still unexplored, I think.
So if you had to pick a country, which would be the preference for you?
A country.
A specific country.
I'm talking about in this situation like Africa, in this spots like Africa.
Yeah. So because you brought up Africa, so is there a specific country that you think should be targeted?
Yes. Ghana, for instance, Ghana is I think is very balanced between talent and organization. Is not I think is in a position that attracts or can attract attentions.
So the French, actually, there's I'm already forgetting his name, but I learned about him about 2 weeks ago. He's already established a massive network in Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Senegal. For finding French talent and selling to.
Yes.
He has a little academy network that he sells to different French clubs. So that's actually a very, very, very interesting picture. Wow, very good catch. We're going to switch gears again. So we're going to move off of talking about potentially new addition to the Marinakis Football Group. And now I want us to focus completely on next season. Are you guys worried or excited for next season and what each club has in store for the summer? For Olympiacos, I know it's going to be very busy. Even if the coach stays, a lot of players are coming and going. For Forest, whether Vitor Pereira stays or not, there's going to be some adjustments that are made as well. Reis Do Ave, good players, but you guys probably also are on the hunt for a new coach. So are we worried? Are we more on the worried side of the spectrum, or are we more on the excited side of the spectrum? Matt, you start us off this time.
More excited, but I do have some worries. I think the manager situation will be fine. If Vitor's not in charge, then it means, I would touch wood, it means we've got someone really good, and we've gone out and got an Iraola or a Glasner or someone that has punched, really above their weight in the Premier League. So I think that side should be all right. More worries around recruitment and transfers. Elliot Anderson has been fantastic for us, and he's one of the best midfielders in the league, and I would say in Europe. And now we've definitely not got European football. I'm sure he'll go. So how do we replace him? Do we keep Gibbs White and Murillo? I think we do, but maybe they want to go. There's Nico Williams as well, who's been really good. And there's players like Chris Wood has been great for us, but he's 34, 35. Can you rely on him? He's picked up injuries. So there's going to be a lot of big recruitment decisions. And I think probably 50, 60, 70% of how a club does is down to recruitment. We had a very mixed bag last summer with a lot of money spent on players that really struggled for a lot of the season, but have come good in more recent weeks, like McAtee and Hutchinson and Bakwa. Well, Hutchinson's been decent all season, but so there's question marks over a lot of players. Forest always have a big churn, and I think we're going to see that again. But we need to have, if 50% of transfers come off, you've done quite well. But we probably need something like 60 or 70% just to really kick on and see if we can improve. The Premier League next season, I think, will be a bit easier. I don't know how closely listeners overseas follow it, but Spurs and West Ham are two big clubs. One of them's definitely going to go. the teams that are coming up, Coventry, Ipswich, and whoever wins the playoffs, I would hope, again, touch wood, aren't going to be as good. So hopefully the relegation battle's a bit easier. But to really kick on in the Premier League now is tough. Like Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, all really well-run clubs, Bournemouth as well. And that's the bracket I think we're always competing in to break out of. So we need good business. So there are concerns, but I'm excited because we've got the foundations of a really solid Premier League team still, with a decent keeper, good defence. Gibbs White, if he stays, is top class. So more excitement, but with a tinge of worry, I'd say.
Are you worried about losing? Like, for me, one of the most fun players to watch on your team this season has been Elliot Anderson. I absolutely love watching that kid. Are you worried about losing him this summer?
I'm sure he's going to go. Yeah, it's not even worry; it's more acceptance. I think because he's that good. I think he's going to go to Man City or someone that's going to push for the Premier League. So the worry is how you replace him. Right. Like he just is top of every stat metric basically for midfielders in Europe. It's crazy in terms of winning duels, winning the ball back. I don't think we can replace him in one player. There's a couple of names out there that we really like Mateus Fernandes at West Ham, who does a lot of what Anderson does, but whoever you buy is going to do a lot of what Anderson does, but not as well. So you need to cover Anderson and strengthen in other areas. I'd say, because unless you're extraordinarily good or extraordinarily lucky, I don't think you're going to replace Elliot Anderson like for like on our budget without being in Europe, I'd say.
Yeah, he's and his ability also to feed the balls into the final third. I mean, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think he's like among midfielders, deeper midfielders. He's got like one of the highest assists, right? The highest number of assists per 90. At least that's what I had seen.
If you watch him play, he's directing. He's 23 and he's telling players where to stand and moving them around. So he's destined for the very, very top, I think. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. Joao, are you more on the excited end of the spectrum or worried for next season?
Again, you choose very, very complicated words, because I'm zero excited. I'm not 100% worried, but I'm zero excited because at this moment, what we know is that Sotiris Silaidopoulos will continue as our coach, because the president of the club, and she is also the president of the society, as we say in Portugal. She tell to the press 3 days ago that Sotiris will continue. He has 1 more year of contract, so this is not very good news for us. We at Reis Do Ave made an online pool, as all online pools has a lot of limitations, but we achieved a very good sample of voters, and 85% said that they don't want Silaidopoulos again in Rio Ave. I'm hesitating talking about him because he seems so good, so good person. He's a very good person. He's very educated, a very instructed man, and a very respectable man. He's not so it's hard to me to say that, but he has no skills, has no capacities to be coaching the first league of Portugal. Portugal has a first league of one of the most important in Europe. You are now the 6th most important league of the Europe. So you need a coach with another ambition, another kind of speech, and above all, with another capacities to intervene in the game. Silaidopoulos is very slow to read the game, and I think he didn't make a very good work here, and I don't like he continues. He's the coach in the next season. So I'm very excited, but I think bad than that. I think it's not the correct English, but what I want to say that I think it's not possible to be worst. Sorry, is the word I'm looking for. Worse can. I don't believe Rio Ave can be relegated. So I don't believe so. I'm not 100. I'm 50% worried.
So 50% worried. Are you worried because you believe that there's a potential that the next coach after Silaidopoulos could be worse? There's still a possibility.
No.
It's not possible.
No. I think he's not the worst coach in the world. Of course not. But I believe if he stays, he will do the same. It will be more the same. One more year of Silaidopoulos. It will be more the same. Another coach can bring another hope, another another competence to Rio Ave. I hope so. Maybe Sotiris Silaidopoulos can be the next coach at Olympiacos.
Are you worried about any of your players being sold this summer?
My joke, you did not understand my joke. Sorry, it was a bad joke. I'm offering because I'm very worried about the Olympiacos. Maybe you can be Sotiris can be your coach. I'm trading coaches with you.
For Mendilibar, I could tell you half of the fan base would throw pitchforks at us right now for even saying to get rid of Mendilibar. But considering this is Silaidopoulos' first season as a professional coach.
Yeah, of course.
I would not want him, even because I do see a future where he could become a coach at Olympiacos.
I agree with you.
But not in this context, not with what's happened this season.
He needs time. He needs time to learn. He needs time to make errors. He needs time to grow up.
Exactly.
So I'm absolutely right.
So that's
too early to be the coach of Olympiacos, or too early to be the coach of Nottingham or else.
Exactly. So, but I was asking another question about players. Are you worried about any players being sold this summer, similarly to like Clayton and Andre Luiz? Is there anybody that you think could leave and they're very good players that you would wish to stay?
I think we don't have players to go because honestly, I hope some players go, but I don't see how that are players to make transactions, to make to sell players. I don't see any. I hope. Honestly, this is not a very consensual idea between our fans, but I hope André Luiz and Clayton return.
I have a feeling Clayton may be the one that comes back to you guys. What about Blesa? Blesa, you don't think would get an offer from somewhere? He's looked good since he's come.
Blesa, it was a mystery. It's a fantastic and mystery. Nobody knows Blesa. He has a history of unknown clubs where he played. Is so strange that he's Spanish, as a Spanish player, and he asks to be interviewed in English in our television. Because he played all over the world. Maybe now he speaks better English than Spanish. But I'm joking.
Maybe.
It is real, but I'm joking. He's a mystery. He scored 6 goals or 7 goals, and nobody knows who Blesa is. But fantastic. But I don't see it. I think it was a peak. He has 29 years old. I think it is not a player that I hope he plays, he scores 30 or 40 goals in Rio Ave next season, but I don't believe so.
On the Olympiacos side of things, especially because I don't know whether Mendilibar is going to stay or not, the signaling from the club is that they haven't even considered another coach. He has 1 year left on his contract, and he's still their guy, and they're not doing anything. But Matt, as you and I both know, the administration will back up a coach, and then in 2-3 days they'll fire him. That's happened plenty of times for both Olympiacos and Forest. So I am a lot more worried than I am excited. If I have to say that I think probably 60, I would say 60 or 70% worried and 30 to 40% excited. I'm more worried because I think even if Mendilibar's cycle hasn't ended at Olympiacos, despite my opinion that I think it is coming to an end, some players' cycles have ended. We've spoken to a number of individuals, scouts, agents, players that are associated with individuals at Olympiacos, and players are unhappy. A lot of players are unhappy. Everyone's frustrated in and around. Our coach, despite whether you believe he has or has not been given the tools, has not adjusted or adapted, despite every team adapting to him. So we've seen a lot of disappointment over the transfer windows for the next 2 summers. And my worry is if he stays, I don't believe what our coach wants matches what he needs. I said this in the recording I did for our channel yesterday. So if Mendilibar stays, I think a real conversation needs to be had. He did his best work when he came in, had no choice in the players he had. He just had to fix what was there. When he's had input, we've looked worse and played worse. So, in my opinion, if he's going to stay, there needs to be a very difficult conversation. You get your choice of 1 or 2 players, whatever they are. We find the rest, and you make it work. I think that has to be how you handle Mendilibar. But my worry is that if he stays, we still look the same, and it's still as frustrating. Decent in European competitions with bigger teams attacking us, but frustrating in Greece. If he doesn't stay, then of course it's, well, who's going to come next? If you look at the last 10 appointments of Olympiacos, not caretakers, 10 appointments, coaches that we expected to stay long term, a year or 2, 2 years, 3 years. Of the last 10, 2 have won titles. Pedro Martins and Jose Luis Mendilibar. So we don't have a great track record. So even if we do get rid of Mendilibar, I do worry that whoever comes next is in a way doomed to fail. So I'm a lot more worried than I am excited. And it sounds like that seems to be the case for all 3 of us. We're more worried than excited. So unless I'm mistaken, Matt, are you more excited than worried, or did I misunderstand you?
No, I'm more excited than worried. I'd say it's like
More excited.
70-30, 80-20. I think, there's a lot to be excited about, but just some worries around recruitment and how we go about it, I'd say.
Of course. So you're more excited. Joao and I are both more worried than excited.
Much more.
So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So I want to end things here with one question for both of you. New coach. First, do you want a new coach next season? And 2, who would your dream coach appointment be if you do want one? Joao, you start.
It's easy. Carlos Carvalhal.
Really?
You know? No, yes.
He coached Olympiacos. We hated him.
Of course. He coached Rio Ave also. Rio Ave. He's unemployed now. He lives here near Vila do Conde. He's a very, very good coach. is not the only choice we have, of course. But you asked me for a name, and I give you a name: Carlos Carvalhal, the man.
The man. I like it. Matt, do you want a coaching change personally?
No, I don't want a coaching change, but the answer I'll give all summer is I'm happy if Vitor's manager, but if you can entice Iraola, then I think you probably go for him. Maybe Glasner, I don't know. But Vitor knows Marinakis. I know they fell out last time, but it sounds like that bridge has been mended. So, and Vitor's done a great job. The worry with Vitor is what happens when you give him transfer windows and who he signs. But at Forest, the coach isn't the final say on who gets signed. So he'd have an input, but I don't think he'd have the final input. So hopefully that bodes well and he can coach players and carry on. But if you can get an Iraola or a Glasner, I'm not so fussed about Marco Silva, I think will leave Fulham. But fans will quite like the chance to bring in a big name who's done well in the Premier League. But I think also fans will be very happy in general if Vitor's manager on the back of what he's done.
For me, my dream appointment for Olympiacos would be the return for the third time of the legendary Ernesto Valverde. I just with the horrible football we've been forced to watch, the really ugly football that I've accepted because results were coming with it, I would just love to cleanse the palate with some beautiful football again. I know it could never happen. It probably would never happen. There's some some life things that Valverde has that makes it very difficult for him to leave Spain. So I know that that's never happening again, but that would be my dream appointment. If personally, I think a cycle has ended. I'm not going to be upset to see Mendilibar leaves. If he does leave, he leaves a legend. He gets a statue out front of the Karaiskaki for what he's done. But unfortunately, I think things have ended. If he stays, I don't want to see him near the transfers because I think that's part of why things have gotten to where they are, is because he doesn't know what he should have. He knows what he wants, but not what he needs. So that's where I stand on this whole thing. So Matt, Joao, thank you both for joining me again. It was another great discussion. Next time we have this discussion, we'll be kickstarting the transfer window. So we'll be talking probably about direction. I'm sure some changes will begin, some players leaving, coaching appointments, coaching rumors, things like that. So we'll probably have a better look at where things will be targeted for the summer. But until then, of course, any other things you guys wanted to address real quick before we close things up?
No, it's okay. Thank you very much.
No, nothing from me. All good. Thanks for having me again. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll have some more besides the football group discussion. I'm sure there's going to be movement of some players, whether it's from Rio Ave to Olympiacos Forest or Olympiacos to Rio Ave and Forest as well. Joao, I already know of 2 players that look like they're destined for Rio Ave. I've been told of an academy player that's coming your way. And Matt, there also could be another player headed your way as well. We might be talking about that this summer.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Joao. Thank you, Matt. Guys, don't forget, check the description. Visit the channels of Joao. Visit Matt's channel as well, so you can get all the up-to-date information about Forest, about Rio Ave. I know across all the fan groups, there's a lot of mixed emotions about the football group and the presence of a football group, but we are in a football group and we have to know what each club is doing because we are all impacted by these decisions. So I encourage you all to go ahead, check out the coverage of Joao, check out Matt's coverage. He does excellent coverage for Forest Focus. Joao goes into so many great details, from lawsuits to all these minute different details around the communities about Rio Ave. And then, of course, you can check out the latest about Olympiacos on our channel as well, Thrylos 7 International. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back next month for the 5th edition of the Marinakis Football Group Roundtable. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.